Welcome everybody to tonight's talk for Dive Worldwide and Regal Dive. The whale sharks of the Galapagos. Specifically, we'll be talking about a trip with an expert led by Sofía that's on it, and on the Aqua liveaboard, Teresa will be telling us a little bit about the boat and the company that she works for, and in travel company which also can provide extensions pre and post liveaboard and naturalist trips and all kinds of things. We work closely with them on our Ecuador trips and Galapagos trips. Sofía's been busy studying the whale sharks of the Galapagos and keen to get back out in the field. I'm sure she'll tell us a little bit about what to expect on board and underwater, and perhaps we'll get a few updates on some specific whale sharks, individuals like Nemo and Coco, I believe. We'll learn about a few of those. And just to say that thank you again for joining us. The trip is in September this year, excuse me, and we hope to run it again in 23, all going well, which is fantastic news. It's a unique and private experience, and of course, any mindful tourism does help conservation matters wherever you travel in the world. So I'm Sarah, the product manager, by the way, and I'm going to hand over next to Teresa, who's going to tell us a bit about her company and about the boat that you'll be on this trip. And of course, it runs throughout the season as well, so we can get you on board whenever the dates suit you. Brilliant. I will hand over to you, Teresa. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our talk. Let me just share my screen. I hope you can all see it. Can you see everything? Can everyone see?
Yes, we can see your screen.
I think it's working right. Okay, perfect. So I will tell you a little bit about the boat. As Sarah mentioned, Aqua is a small liveaboard for 16 passengers, and it's really perfect for nature lovers and divers. It's specialized on diving, but you can also join on naturalist trips. So here you can see the boat from the outside. You can already see that it's very small. You will have a intimate small group experience. And the Aqua is part of the Oniric fleet. We have 4 boats in total in the Galapagos. We are like the ground operator for Regal Dive and Dive Worldwide here in Ecuador. So we manage the boats, and we also manage extensions on the mainland or extensions on the Galapagos Islands. And the Oniric fleet is a new brand for all our boats. And we want to be the most sustainable safari-style cruise operator in the Galapagos. So if you book with us, you're not only going to have a lot of fun, but you're also automatically contributing to the preservation of nature. We've already started in 2021 to help several projects. For example, we donated $10,000 to the Charles Darwin Foundation. We make non-profit cruises, so like expedition style cruises to help study the behavior of whale sharks and other species. And some small details like having reusable bottles, minimizing plastic use, and some other things that help to preserve the nature and to reduce emissions. We are also currently in the process of being certified carbon neutral. So we are very excited to announce that soon as well. And now we will switch to the boat. Here you can see, I like this picture a lot. As some of you might know, the Darwin's arch has collapsed into the sea, and you can see like a before after. But for the diving experience, of course, it does not influence. You will see still a lot of wildlife there. And here you can see what's the most important about the Aqua. It's really the best value above and under the waves. The Aqua is by far the least expensive liveaboard in the Galapagos because there's already several that, let's say, cover the luxury segment. And you will have a really good itinerary. You will spend a lot of time up in Darwin and Wolf, and you will discover a lot of different species and animals. And we have 9 cabins, so you can choose if you want like single, double, or twin cabin. And there's even 2 cabins that have the option to be a triple cabin, which is ideal for family. So we are very flexible in the division of cabins. Here you can see again, we have 3 decks, so you can accommodate very well however you want to be distributed during the cruise. And of course, I want to show you some pictures so you can see what awaits you. This is an example for a lower deck cabin, exactly as I mentioned here. Up to 3 people could sleep, but it can also be without any surcharge be sold as a double cabin. So the bigger person can sleep downstairs, or you can use it as a double bed as well. Here's a double cabin example. The whole boat has been renovated completely when we took over operation in 2019. So everything is refurbished and new. Here you can see an upper deck cabin. The main difference is really that they have like bigger windows, but the cabin sizes and amenities are the same throughout the whole boat. So whatever you choose, you will have the same services. Perfect. Then I would like to show you the social areas. This is a very social boat in general. Even if maybe you don't have time to join for this specific departure, if you want to go join any cruise, there will always be very nice people. It's been reported to us that the atmosphere on the boat is really good. So here you have like a room where you can have the briefings every night with the guide, and you can just sit together, have a beer. So it's very cozy and nice. And here's the dining area where you will have all your meals. We're really like keen on offering really nice food because we know divers are always hungry, and when you come up after a long time under the water, for sure you want to taste some of the delicacies that you can find in South America. Here's the exterior lounge where you can chill in the evening or just come up in the morning to have a look at the sky. So it's really, really nice as well. Here's the sun deck. And of course, the heart of the boat is the diving platform, where you have everything you need, really. You can either bring your own diving equipment, or you can also rent. We have full equipment rental. Everything you might need, you can find on board as well. You can also add nitrox to the cruise, which has a cost of 150 extra for the whole week. All dives from the Aqua are done from the Zodiac. So here you can see an example of the Zodiacs. And yeah, of course, safety is really important for us. Everyone gets a personal marine rescue GPS and a dive alert for free. We have, as I mentioned, a lot of other equipments. You can rent like the whole package or one by one. And you can see on the bottom our certifications. And yeah, I really hope some of you will have time to join us on this trip or on any other trip and have some fun, get to know the Galapagos, maybe extend your stay and get to know also Ecuador or Peru. We have a lot of different possibilities. And yeah, let's hope the boat can convince you. It's really perfect for divers, adventure lovers. It's really a good competitive price. So you can have a very good diving experience without, let's say, paying a lot of money. And you have a good group size, 16 people. And here you can also see again the boat, the distribution, and the cabins. So yeah, I will give back to Sarah, and thanks a lot. If you have any questions, you can ask, I guess, in the end of the presentation, right, Sarah?
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Teresa. We do have one quick question before we go to Sophia. First of all, can everyone hear us okay? Judy tells me there was a bit of feedback on the sound, so hopefully that's kind of dissipated now and everyone can hear everything okay. If not, please let us know in the Q&A. Teresa, we do have one little question for you. There, just a little bit about, if you could let us know a little bit about what there is for non-diving partners to do on board. I mean, mainly this specific trip is obviously about being in the water diving with the whale sharks, but I guess snorkelers can come along as well, and there are other extensions on the boat. I'll leave over to you to answer.
Yeah, so on that specific cruise, it's really, if I'm really honest, it is really focused on divers. So we had cases before where people would join who are not divers and they were aware of it, so they wouldn't mind. The boat in itself is very small, so you don't have, let's say, a pool or a cinema or other activities where you can really, but you can watch movies, you can bring a book, you can write, you can just disconnect, because really you have no internet. It's really like a place, maybe like self-finding. I really suggest writing, listening to music. But yeah, from the activities, only there's one land visit on the last day where you visit the giant turtles in Santa Cruz. But what most people did, where one partner was diving and one not, they did an extension. So later they went either on an island hopping, where you can just stay some days in the Galapagos and let's say pick 2-3 islands you want to see and go by speedboat and stay in hotels, which is it's not so expensive. So it's an easy way to extend your trip a bit. Or you do another cruise. We have cruises that go when the Aqua stops, the other boat is already there. So you just go on the tender boat and you switch boats, let's say, and you can go on another boat for a short time, let's say 3-4 nights. And then you can have a better experience also to see the islands, to do some land excursions. Yeah, I think a mix would be ideal, because otherwise maybe the other one would feel a bit, I didn't see anything. I just saw the waves from above. So yeah, to be really honest, that's very focused on divers.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. I hope that answers your question. The anonymous person. Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Teresa. It gives everyone a really good insight into the workings of the Aqua and the kind of rooms they can book on board. We only have a few places left, so we'll let people know about that a bit later, and in the travel plan that you can get from our sales consultants after this talk and during the week, which leaves me with Sofía to introduce now. So Sophia's does lots of things, but mainly she works for the Galapagos Whale Shark Project, I believe, and other bits and bobs studying the whale sharks. And she'll be the expert leader on board this trip in September. And I'll leave her to take it away and let you know a little bit more about whale sharks and what to expect on board that trip. Thank you, Sofía.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sarah, for that introduction. And thanks to Dive Worldwide and Regal Dive for this platform to be able to chat with all of you guys tonight. I do want to share a presentation with you all about whale sharks. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Excellent. Okay, so just as a quick introduction, as Sarah mentioned, I am a marine biologist from Ecuador, working specifically in the Galapagos Whale Shark Project, but in other projects that work for the conservation of the Galapagos, and I've been doing so since 2017. So with you guys, we'll be going on board, having different talks at night about the different things we might be seeing in the Galapagos, and focusing specifically on finding whale sharks and collaborating with the Galapagos Whale Shark Project through citizen science, which makes this trip extra special. So to talk about whale sharks, since they are the star of our trip, I want to tell you about our work with the Galapagos Whale Shark Project and discovering the secrets of ocean giants. First of all, I want to start with, what is a whale shark? Believe it or not, a lot of people ask us, a whale shark, is it a whale or is it a shark? And this is actually very important to understand for the way that we study them. The whale shark is truly a shark. It has the anatomy of a fish, it has gill slits, it breathes underwater, it has dorsal fins and pelvic fins and pectoral fins, just like a fish would. And then a really key, an easy way to identify a fish and differentiate it from a marine mammal like a dolphin or a whale is the way that its caudal tail moves. So it moves from side to side rather than up and down. And we have to take all these things into consideration, like the fact that it doesn't breathe in the surface, for the way that we actually have to study them. The whale shark is the only member of the Rhincodontidae family, but it does have close relatives in the Oryctolobiformes order, which are the nurse sharks or zebra sharks, and it's from the species Rhincodontipus. What we know about whale sharks is a lot less than what we don't know about whale sharks. Even though they are the largest fish in the ocean, reaching up to 18 meters long, We know more about ants or microbes than we do about this incredible fish that roams our oceans. We know that it can reach up to 18 meters long. Some people say it can even reach up to 20 meters long. It can weigh up to 20 tons. And just so that you understand how large this is, that is the weights of 4 adult elephants stacked on each other. So they're massive, massive creatures. And then because they're so big, a lot of people ask us, but then aren't these sharks dangerous? And we like to say, unless you're a tiny, tiny being in the ocean, no, they're not. You see, the whale shark is a filter feeding animal, which feeds on zooplankton, fish, coral eggs, and tiny, tiny small fish. And it does have hundreds of teeth, about 300 tiny teeth, but these are believed to be a vestigial structure, so an organ that is no longer in use, like our appendix. What we also know is that they are ovoviviparous in their reproduction. And what this means is, like a lot of sharks, they do actually hold their babies in egg cases initially, but these egg cases aren't actually laid like other shark species do. Instead, these egg cases hatch inside the mother, and the mother gives birth to live young. We also know that they can dive to at least 2,000 meters deep. And I say at least because this is a technological impediment. We know that the recorded dive has been of 1,928 meters deep, which is already incredibly deep for a fish that doesn't really have much to do at this depth. But that is just the limit that we have recorded with the technological limitations that we have. We believe they might be diving a lot deeper than this. The whale sharks are found across the globe. They have a circumglobal distribution, mainly in tropical and temperate latitudes, which is kind of ideal for some of us that don't really like cold waters. That's why I decided to study this fish. It just keeps me in warmer waters, so we're very similar. They are found in all the seas of the world except the Mediterranean. And I put except the Mediterranean in parentheses because only a few months ago, a whale shark appeared in the Mediterranean. So they like to keep us guessing, right? And we don't know if this was a single registry or if there's going to be some sort of aggregation appearing in this area. We know that due to climate change, their distribution has begun to change. And you might notice on this PowerPoint, this X, yellow X in the Azores, which is outside their normal distribution. So due to climate change and our changing planet, we are seeing a shift in where whale sharks are found. What we don't know about whale sharks is a lot more than what we do know. They are a huge mystery. And why is this? Well, it's a species that is actually really hard to study. So for us to be able to go out into the pelagic seas, because a lot of them are found in open ocean, and study the species, it takes a lot of time, effort, and money. So it's actually very difficult to study these cryptic species found in such wide ranges in the ocean. So we don't know their global population size, which is troubling, because if we don't know their global population size, we don't know how they're doing. We don't know where they're reproducing, where their pups are born, where these pups spend the first 3 to 5 years of their life. We're now beginning to shed some light in their migratory routes, and then looking into their diving behavior with new technology. But then again, why does it matter? Why should we study whale sharks, or why should we spend money to go out and do these expensive expeditions? The whale shark was downgraded from vulnerable to endangered in 2016 due to a plethora of anthropogenic impacts, so human impacts. The whale shark's future is uncertain. And I'm sorry to pose these pictures for you guys, but this is the reality of what is going on in the world's oceans. The whale sharks have a lot of problems, like incidental and targeted fisheries catch, vessel strikes, marine pollution, and climate change. With the level of how we're fishing in the oceans, overfishing the oceans, we're depleting the ocean from its stocks. And with these giant nets that are absolutely non-selective, even though targeted fisheries of whale sharks have declined, we still have a lot of whale sharks fall into nets as bycatch. Through these threats, the global population has actually declined by over 50% in the last 75 years. So only in 3 generations have we declined, and I say we as humans, have we made this population decline by 50%. We have half the population of whale sharks. So we have to do something to make sure that they don't go extinct. Not to go too far, this is not something that's just happening in the distance and we don't hear about it. Our project tagged 8 whale sharks last year. And from these 8 whale sharks, 3 of the 8 tags appeared on land. They appeared in the fishing ports of Ecuador, 2 different fishing ports in Ecuador and 1 in Peru. That is almost 40% of our whale shark tags appearing on land. Now, I say the tags because we don't know exactly what happened to the animal that had the tags. It was very hard for us to actually communicate with the fishermen and discover what truly happened. So it is uncertain if the sharks were also taken to land, but we know that there is a high risk of encounter between the sharks and fisheries. These are the females that ended up being caught to last year and the tags that ended up on land. One was a millimeter female tagged on the 19th of August, who reported on land on the 19th of August. You can imagine our shock, right? We're tracking these species, looking at where they are on Google Earth, and suddenly one of our whale sharks is taking a trip on land, decided to take a holiday. For us, it was so shocking to see this because it was unexpected. We hadn't seen this happen before. And then only about a month later, another whale shark ended up on land. And then a few months later in January, another whale shark ended up on land. For us, this is kind of a warning sign saying, hey, we need to do something about this. We need to prevent this from happening. Then we have the effects of marine pollution. This was only last year when this whale shark was swimming by Darwin Arch, the place where you will be diving with these beautiful animals. And then the scientists and divers diving with this shark noticed it had something huge dragging alongside its pectoral fin. Luckily, my dad was there. He's in the video and the photo. Managed to take out his knife, which he always dives with due to marine pollution, and manages to cut this giant heavy net full of barnacles that must have been underwater for a very long time, manages to cut it off and pull it off of the pectoral fin of the shark. This net was already cutting into the fin of the whale shark and causing a lot of damage. This whale shark would have probably lost its pectoral fin if it weren't for this scenario. My dad mentions that he tried to actually lift this net out of the water, but the weight with so many barnacles was so heavy, there was no way he could actually lift it out. But there you can see this amazing whale shark swimming off into the blue, feeling the greatest relief from not having this problem. And this happens more and more frequently with so many ghost nets in the ocean. Or we have other problems with marine pollution, such as plastics that are being ingested by filter feeding species such as the whale shark, and then going into their digestive systems. So this is something that we have to work towards preventing as well. Then we have vessel strikes. So whale sharks, even though they can reach amazing depths when they go diving, they actually spend most of their lives between 0 and 20 meters deep. And these sharks, because they spend so much time on the surface and then travel long distances across the ocean, they're actually at a very high risk of a vessel strike. With vessel traffic increasing worldwide due to shipping, due to travel, due to so many other things, we are seeing this more frequently. And this new study that was just published last week, so it's brand new and very impacting, mentioned that 92% of the horizontal space use and 50% of vertical space use overlaps with large vessel traffic. This whale shark that you can see in this photo, if you look closely, you can see it's missing an entire chunk of its head. Luckily, whale sharks have a very tiny brain. So an 18-meter whale shark can have a brain the size of my palm. So luckily, when this propeller strike hits this whale shark's head, it didn't reach anything serious, and this whale shark was actually healing and well and alive. However, the whale sharks that we see that have these vessel strikes are the ones that survive the vessel strikes. Those that don't sink to the depths and are very hard to record. Then there are other problems that sharks have across the world's oceans. And these are people catching them for the shark fins, for the shark fin trade. And then we have people that like the shark fins as trophies, or something that we might all be a part of is the use of shark cartilage in medicine. If you are an athlete or a person with problems with it in their joints, you may take supplements to help your joints. And it is very, very important for you to check that these medicines don't say something like chondrichthyes or elasmobranch, or some that even say we use shark and make it seem like it's something good. You want to make sure that your medicine does not incorporate sharks into their ingredient list so that you are not supporting the catch of sharks. But once again, why is this important? We know that these sharks are being threatened, but why should we care? And why do people that are so far apart from the ocean actually care about the conservation of these sharks? Well, these sharks are important for our own survival and for the survival of everything on Earth. They have high ecological and economical importance. For example, ecologically, they're very important because they deal with nutrient transport. They spend a lot of time in ocean-rich areas full of nutrients and then travel long distances to areas of the ocean where there are very few nutrients. And what they do is they feed in these nutrient-rich areas, travel to the nutrient-depleted areas, and they defecate. And what this does is it brings a burst of life. They're actually moving nutrients to these nutrient-deficient areas, and in areas of the ocean where life would not exist otherwise, whale sharks bring life. Then, because they are filter feeders feeding off of zooplankton and then creating these bursts of life, they actually control or regulate the levels of zooplankton and phytoplankton. And this is also super important because the oceans, the phytoplankton in the oceans, actually produce 50% of the oxygen we breathe. So they are basically regulating the oxygen that we as humans are breathing. Whale sharks are also so large that they hold a lot of carbon in their bodies. And this is one way they actually help mitigate the effects of climate change. You see, because they have so much carbon in their bodies, when they die, they sink to the bottom of the ocean and they sequestrate this carbon and take it out of the atmosphere for centuries to come. Not only that, but during this moment, they actually feed the species in the depths of the oceans. Then they have a very economical factor. People dive and travel from all over the world to places where whale sharks are found, not unlike me or you guys. So we travel to these places like the Galapagos Islands to see the whale shark. And what we do in these places is we then go to restaurants, we pay for liveaboard, we travel and stay at a hotel. And what we do is we help the economy of these coastal communities flourish. A whale shark alive is worth a lot more than a dead whale shark. One single fin can go for around $20,000 US. And even though this is impressive, it's a lot of money for some people, what we have to teach these coastal communities and the importance of environmental education about this matter is that a single whale shark can actually generate about $2 million in its lifetime. So the whale shark is worth a lot more alive than it is dead. And one more really amazing feature about whale sharks, and one of my favorite things, is how it works as an umbrella species. Because it is highly charismatic, it's sometimes easier to find, relatively easier to find donors that want to support whale shark conservation. And by protecting areas used by the whale shark, because it ranges through such big areas of the ocean, we're actually protecting a lot of other species under its fins, like other shark species, marine mammals, marine turtles, coral reefs. So they're actually protecting so many other organisms that they serve as ocean ambassadors. So the work being done by the Galapagos Whale Shark Project is actually an ocean conservation project, not focused on a single species. So having said that, I want to tell you a little bit about what we do as the Galapagos Whale Shark Project in the Galapagos Islands. First of all, it was founded by my father, Jonathan Green, and co-founded by Dr. Alex Hearn, amazing divers and scientists of the Galapagos Marine Reserve. They realized that there was a lot of information missing about the whale sharks found here, and not only about the whale sharks in the Galapagos, but worldwide. They're this amazing, beautiful animal that people encountered underwater, but nobody knew anything about. So they gathered a team of scientists from around the world. We work with scientists from New Zealand, Germany, Japan, Ecuador, Spain, England. And we have all this amazing group of people come to the Galapagos at least once a year to try to uncover the mysteries of the whale shark. Just to let you know a little bit about my involvement in the project, I joined the project in 2017, so this is going to be my 6th season working with the project. And I carried out my master's thesis investigation on the diving behavior of whale sharks since it was such a big unknown. Now I work in the project as a data analyst, field researcher, and leader in communications and outreach program. The objective of the Galapagos Whale Shark Project is to uncover as much as it can about this species to improve the management practices both within the Galapagos Marine Reserve and in the Eastern Tropical Pacific. So the idea is to be able to take this data and not only have it for scientific interest, but actually apply it to real policy and take it to the government and make real conservation actions. It was created in 2011, and since then it carries out yearly expeditions to study the species in the Galapagos Marine Reserve. The research being done within the Galapagos Marine Reserve involves satellite tagging, photo identification, ultrasounds, blood samples, and tissue samples. And I'll go through all of these to explain a little bit about them. First, I want to talk about our amazing study site, Darwin's Arch. And you may have heard of this place. It is a world-renowned dive site because it has the largest biomass of sharks underneath the waters. And if you join this trip with Dive Worldwide and Regal Dive, we will be spending quite a bit of time, at least 6 dives in this area. So we get to experience one of the most beautiful dive sites in the world. And this is actually the study site for our research. I want to talk to you a little bit about the image you see here on the left. Here is Darwin's Arch in all its splendor. And then in the middle, we have Darwin's Pillars, or the collapsed Darwin's Arch. And I don't know if you might have heard, when it collapsed last year, in February of last year, it became international news, right? So everyone was talking about it. Even people that hadn't known about Darwin's Arch suddenly found out about it and felt sorry that they hadn't seen it in all its splendor. And there was kind of this shock that people felt about the collapse of this arch. And even though it is sad because it was such a beautiful kind of monument on top of this amazing dive site, first of all, the dive site hasn't changed. And second of all, geological collapse is natural. This was bound to happen since it's made of ash. However, geological collapse, or what is happening beneath the waves due to human impact, is not. And I think that is what we have to focus on mostly, and that's what we want to prevent. So why do we study whale sharks at Darwin's Arch? We do so because of the amazing topography. So you may have heard that Darwin and Wolf Islands are actually way further up north than the rest of the Galapagos Islands in the Galapagos archipelago. This is because they have a different geological creation. So there are these islands in the middle of the ocean. And for this reason, they have these amazing drop-offs. So instead of being on top of a platform, you have simply the island and then a drop-off into deep, deep ocean. And as you can see right here on the right, we have Darwin's Arch. And you can see that immediately from 10, 15, 20 meters, it just drops off into 100 plus meters in the same area. And this is why we get adult female whale sharks not seen anywhere else in the world passing by this area. So we're in a beautiful dive site seeing pelagic species like the whale sharks, other shark species, and marine mammals because of this amazing topography. So as I just mentioned, in the Galapagos, we have a unique population of 99% adult females not seen anywhere else in the world. In the other whale shark aggregations around the world, what people mostly see are juvenile males in coastal aggregations. So we have to move ourselves to these pelagic places like Darwin Island in the Galapagos to be able to see these amazing females. And this gives us a unique opportunity to study the reproductive animals and protect the most important individuals, you may say, for the conservation of the species. They are sighted seasonally between June and December in Galapagos. And you may ask, how do we differentiate an adult female with an adult male? Very easy, as you can see on the picture on the left, the males have 2 giant claspers, whilst the females have an open cloaca. Now, when they're juveniles, this is not as obvious. So every once in a while, if we have a juvenile whale shark that we do see sporadically here, we will have to get down under very close and personal to see if they're males or females. What we're doing in the Galapagos is we are tracking these whale sharks. First of all, we're tracking them with satellite tagging. And this is a very active form of tracking. In the last 10 years, we have tagged over 100 whale sharks in the Galapagos Marine Reserve with the Galapagos Whale Shark Project. And as you can see, after leaving the Galapagos Marine Reserve, where they only spend 1 to 3 days more or less, they actually go everywhere. So this makes it really hard for scientists to know what areas of the ocean to protect and what is causing these different movements, because they like to keep us guessing. The tagging methodology has evolved over the past 10 years and has become a lot less invasive and more effective. So as you can see, what we used to do initially is insert these subcutaneous tags under the skin of a whale shark using a pressure gun and these tether and anchors attached to the tags. And the diver would approach the whale shark, shoot this tag in, and then the whale shark would leave with its tag inserted under its skin. Even though this looked very invasive and had kind of a wrong social perception, it didn't ever hurt the whale sharks, since whale sharks have one of the thickest skins of any animal in the animal kingdom, of about 30 centimeters thick. However, it still looked poor to have this kind of image of the conservationist shooting this into the whale sharks. Not only that, but you can see how it trails above the shark. And so this little tag floating next to the whale shark was then seen by other shark species. They would think it was a yummy fish, grab it, rip it off, and we would lose $4,000 in a minute. So the retention rates were not great. So we have modified this type of tagging to a lot more efficient way, which is the use of fin mount pressure clamps, where it's just this little like pin clamp where we like open it up, place it on top of the whale shark, leave it there with pressure, and the whale shark swims away. And this is giving us way better retention rates. So here to show you exactly how it's done, I'm tagging an 11, 12 meter long whale shark. These are the massive whale sharks you will see at Darwin Island. We simply open up the tag, place it on top of the dorsal fin, make sure it's nice and tight, and there it goes. That entire process lasts less than 10, 15 seconds and is very, very uninvasive. As you can see, the whale shark doesn't even react. In the meantime, another one of our scientific divers, Jenny, took a photo of the right side, is now moving on to the left side for photo ID. And I'll explain exactly what this is and how you can actually contribute to the Whale Shark Project. So before I move on to photo ID, I want to talk to you about a few other tags that we're using. We're trying to develop alongside the Georgia Aquarium this tag that allows us to track whale sharks beyond the record of the tags now, right? These tags that we have now actually implode when they reach about 2,000 meters deep because of the pressure exerted at this depth. So we're developing this tag that might reach 4,000 meters, which would allow us to see exactly how deep whale sharks are diving and for what reasons. Then we're using animal-borne camera tags, or CAT scans. And what these are these amazing camera tags, which are only placed on the whale shark for 3 to 6 hours, and then they detach and we have to find them out in open ocean. But they allow us to see what's going on with this animal when nobody's around. And this has actually allowed us to see some very, very cool stuff. As you can see in this video, other shark species are actually using the whale shark as a scratching post, you may say, to clean off parasites. So silky sharks, Galapagos sharks, blacktip sharks are actually rubbing themselves against the raspy skin, the scales of the whale shark to remove parasites. So this kind of video is impacting and just absolutely amazing of what happens underwater. The secret life of sharks. Now, onto photo identification. So photo ID is a way of passive tracking whale sharks. So instead of us, we cannot tag every single shark out there. However, citizen scientists or divers, recreational divers, are out there in the ocean every single day. Meanwhile, scientists, we're only out there for a couple weeks a year because we cannot afford to be out there every single day. So you guys, recreational divers and citizen scientists, are our greatest workforce and the people that can most collaborate to projects like like the Galapagos Whale Shark Project. What you can do is you take a photo of a whale shark or a turtle or other individuals where their patterns are unique to each individual. For example, for the whale shark, this area right above the pectoral fin has been standardized as the way to track whale sharks and identify them as individuals. It's exactly the same as your thumbprint. And in the Galapagos, we have already identified over 600 unique individuals. In the Galapagos, what photo identification has allowed us to see is that we don't see the same sharks appearing at Darwin and Wolf Islands year after year. Instead, we have new groups coming in every year. And then we see a certain individual every 4 years, every 9 years, every 12 years, even after 13.5 years. So at the beginning of this same year, somebody had uploaded a photo in 2008 onto the global catalog of whale sharks known as the Shark Book. And then our team actually went out diving and spotted this whale shark, took a photo and saw that it was a match. So 13 years later, this same shark appeared up in Darwin Island, letting us know it was alive and well and just making amazing, amazing news. What photo ID allows us to do is to track these sharks passively and study their population dynamics. This allows us to see how often they're returning to Galapagos, what their residency rate is, how many days they're spending inside the Galapagos Marine Reserve, and then to see other things like mortality. The real power of citizen science, and why I say we can never underestimate citizen science, is because they give us data that we would never have otherwise. Just a couple weeks ago, we had this amazing match showing a connection of whale sharks from one place to another that we did not know existed. These two photos uploaded to the Wild Book were actually uploaded by no scientists. They were uploaded by recreational divers one that was diving in Revillagigedo of Socorro Island, Mexico. And he was diving on the 14th of May of 2021, uploaded this picture. And then somebody else came here, was diving in the south of Isabela and uploaded this picture on the 4th of April of 2022. Then I went in, did the spot pattern mapping, and bam, we have this amazing match of this whale shark that travels all the way from Mexico down to Ecuador in the span of almost a year. So we have amazing things. Information coming in from citizen science. You can actually help in our project. When you come down and dive with us on this amazing dive in the whale shark trip, what we want to focus on is exactly this. It's the opportunity for you guys to collaborate with our project, as well as having an amazing dive experience recreationally. The left side is best to take a picture of, but both sides were best. Then another thing we focus on is the scars and the fins. You see that it has a few clips. So all of this allows us to identify the shark as an individual. Of course, a full body shot is preferred, but this is not always possible. The necessary info for citizen science upload is the date and location of where you saw this whale shark, and then other helpful information can come in handy as well. Moving on to ultrasounds. I want to let you know that ultrasounds are quite a crazy feat of some work being done underwater. Why are we going to this crazy extent to running ultrasounds underwater on wild free swimming whale sharks? It is because we don't know much about whale shark reproduction. All we know is from a single female caught in Taiwan in 1995. This single female had 300 pups inside of her. I cannot even imagine what this must be like. And the most interesting thing is not only did she have all these pups inside of her, but they were all from the same male. They analyzed the genetic samples and found out it was all from the same male. And they were all at different stages of development. Some were still in the egg cases, whilst others were ready to be born. And this shows delayed fertilization. So having seen this, but not knowing where whale sharks reproduce, we were like, we have to do something about this. As I mentioned, in the Galapagos, we have 99% adult females. And when they come to the Galapagos, it's these massive sharks with this huge distended abdomen. So when scientists and divers alike first started seeing these sharks, they were like, they must be pregnant. They're so huge. They're different from all the others we see around the world. The sharks coming to Galapagos must be pregnant. So we decided to test this and run ultrasounds with a team of the Okinawa Aquarium in Japan. And so these amazing scientists from Japan came all the way from Japan. And in 2017, they brought their ultrasound machine. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. We tell them that during the cold season, it's almost 100% guaranteed that we might see whale sharks in Darwin Island. And they come here all prepared. They go diving on the first day, no whale shark. They go diving on the second day, no whale sharks. Third day, no whale sharks. Starting to stress out, we have very limited time up in the field. Fourth day, no whale sharks. Oh my gosh, people are starting to despair. And fifth day, finally a giant whale shark starts appearing out in the blue. Rui, right here with the ultrasound, gets the ultrasound ready, approaches the whale shark, is about to start his scan. He goes right underneath the whale shark, and what he sees is two massive claspers. This one whale shark that appeared, the first whale shark to appear that season, was a male. What are the chances? Literally 1%. So this was, we joke about it now, but this was quite frustrating at the beginning because we weren't able to run the ultrasounds. Nonetheless, after that, a few other whale sharks appeared. They managed to run the ultrasounds. However, in 2017, they realized the machine was just not strong enough. As I mentioned, whale sharks have about 30 centimeters of skin, so the power of this ultrasound was not enough. So the team returned then in 2018, ran the ultrasounds again, and finally we got images of the insides of the reproductive system. Unfortunately, these whale sharks that we managed to scan were not pregnant. However, they did show that they were sexually mature and ready for reproduction. This is an ongoing study since we have only managed to do this on a few whale sharks, and we hope that by next year, with less COVID restrictions, our team from Japan is able to return and we're able to continue with this amazing work. Alongside the ultrasounds, we're also running blood samples, and what we're doing with this is looking at the health status of these sharks, and we're also looking at hormone levels to see if they're pregnant. And then something very, very important that we're doing with these blood samples is looking immediately, right as we take the blood, take it on board the boat, plug it into our machine, we check the lactic acid levels. And why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this to check stress levels, because we want to make sure that none of the work that we're doing, whether it's tagging or taking photo ID, just diving around the whale shark or taking blood samples or ultrasounds, none of it is impacting the whale shark. And luckily so far, none of the whale sharks we have worked with and taken blood samples from have shown any signs of stress. Now to finish, I just want to tell you a little bit about the amazing whale sharks that have a story. Our project has tagged quite a few whale sharks during the last decade. And from these, the most important ones are Hope, Nemo, and Coco, which are whale sharks that come with a story. You may have heard about Hope. We tagged Hope. She was a juvenile female tagged in 2019. And we were tracking this juvenile female. She was a very shallow swimmer, so she was constantly giving us her location. She starts swimming off towards the Indo-Pacific. We see her leave. And then just when the pandemic began is when Hope started turning around and her track looked like it was coming back to Galapagos. And we have never recorded an actual shark leaving the Galapagos and then returning. So of course we see this, and it's kind of in the midst of the pandemic when everyone needed a little spark of hope. So that is what we named her. So we see that Hope is returning, and then from one day to the next, Hope stops transmitting. Initially, we didn't think much about this. You know, whale sharks don't have to come up to the surface to breathe, so we don't actually see them reporting every single day, because we need the satellite tags to come out of the water to actually report back information. However, it is normal for whale sharks to be submerged for months at a time. So when she first went down, we didn't think much about it. However, after a few months of not hearing about her, we decided to check the last transmission. And what her last transmission showed were three things. One, she was in this area of high intense fishing pressure, which you can see right here. All the white dots are fishing vessels. Two, her tag was giving us excellent signal, meaning it was fully out of water. And three, the whale shark was traveling, or the shark's tag was traveling at intense speeds, high speeds that cannot be reached by a shark. So even though we don't know in reality what may have happened to Hope, we guess she may have been fished as bycatch in this area. However, the story of Hope doesn't stay there. Because she was a whale shark with a name and a whale shark with a story, and we'd been sharing her story on social media, she actually meant something to people. So when she was caught, it moved people and it became national and international news. People wrote stories about her. They did infographics, comics. They actually wrote songs about her. And so it captured people's hearts in a way that just saying another shark has been caught doesn't do so. So when this happened, we talked to people and let them know that yes, this is one shark that was caught. However, this is the reality of hundreds of thousands of marine animals every single day. And we have to do something about this. Then we have a happier story. Then came Nemo in 2020, a year after we tagged Hope. We actually managed to make it out there even in the midst of the pandemic to tag our whale sharks. And Nemo, the whale shark that was missing a pectoral fin, actually swam out of Darwin Island, went towards the Ecuadorian coast, and then came right back up and completed the first complete track of a whale shark leaving and then returning to Darwin Island after an 80-day journey and around 1,600 kilometers. So this shark actually made history and shows the importance of protecting areas like the Galapagos Marine Reserve for endangered species such as this one. Then we have Coco, another shark with a message that moved directly from Darwin Island all the way up to Coco's Island, using this area of the ocean that had already been identified as a marine migratory highway for so many species that were moving between marine protected area and marine protected area from Ecuador to Costa Rica. The only problem with this was that when moving out of one marine protected area and moving into another marine protected area, in the middle, they were actually crossing the high seas where there was high intense fishing pressure. So this area, people and conservationists had already been saying, hey, it's really important to protect this area. We need to protect these species whilst they move from one marine protected area to another. So by adding another endangered species such as Coco, a whale shark, to this list, we actually managed to make a huge advance in marine conservation. At the beginning of this year, our president actually announced the expansion of the Galapagos Marine Reserve, or the creation of a new marine protected area called the Reserva Marina Hermandad, or the Brotherhood or Sisterhood Marine Reserve. And it protects exactly this marine corridor, which is so important for other species of sharks, rays, marine mammals, etc. So with that, I finish saying a huge thank you to all of our project collaborators and donors. Without all these people, work like the one we do with the Galapagos Whale Shark Project would be impossible. So thank you to all of them. And then I want to just say, I hope you can join us in September. The liveaboard is beautiful. Aqua is an amazing little liveaboard where we have amazing fun. It's very comfortable, like Teresa mentioned. And besides the amazing, beautiful whale shark, we might be seeing incredible marine wildlife that Galapagos has to show, like the hundreds of hammerheads that we see here. Other shark species, this is shark galore, so if you like shark diving, this is the place to come. Beautiful marine birds that we see peeking underwater, like this booby bird. Molas, or southern ocean sunfish. Sea lions that love to engage with the divers. The minute you engage with them, they'll start dancing around you. Marine turtles, moray eels, dolphins, so many beautiful fish like this boxfish, and then endemic species like the barnacle blenny and others. Do you have any questions?
Wow, that was amazing.
Excellent, I'm so glad you liked it.
Thank you, Sophia. We're a little light on time, but there are a few questions in the Q&A box. If you can see that, if not, I can read them out to you. Definitely very important messages there you've sent through to us, and it's important for us to understand and learn a little bit more about the vulnerability and how important the whale sharks are to everyone and the world. To also learn about how you go about your work and how we can help out if we're on one of those trips with citizen science. So it's been really exciting for me, and hopefully for the others that are here on the talk as well. We've got a question from Kit. Can you see the questions, Sophia?
Yes, I can see the questions.
Okay.
We have a question from Kit saying, what are the water temperatures and is there any significant seasonal variation? So yes, we do have significant seasonal variation. The warm season ranges between January to May, so it's ending right now. And then the cool season ranges from June, July, all the way to December. And it depends a lot on where we are in the Galapagos Marine Reserve. In the Center Islands, we have kind of mid-temperature ranges ranging between 19 to 21 degrees during the cold season when you would be coming on this trip. Then in the north, we have warmer waters where we would be seeing the whale sharks there. It tends to range between 21 and 24 degrees. Out west, it gets really, really cold. We have the influence of a very cold current called the Cromwell current. It can go down to 14 degrees Celsius and up to 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. So for that, we do want 7mm wetsuits, thick, nice wetsuits. So yeah, there is a seasonal variation, and then there's a regional variation of temperatures.
Thank you. Richenda, we've got quite a few questions there, and some of them are answered on our website as well as in the travel plan. I'm just going to start a poll on the page for anyone who wants any more information about this specific trip and about the whale sharks and anything generally. Just please let us know, and our marketing department will be in touch with everyone who's been on the talk anyway tonight with a follow-up email about the trip, and we can send you all that kind of thing. So let me see, Richenda, the currents, I believe there's quite some strong currents up at Darwin. You carry on, Sophia.
So yes, I see a question here about currents and especially what depths we will be diving. So in the Galapagos, we always have a drift current. This might range from a very soft drift current that makes a very enjoyable dive all the way up to very strong currents, especially up in Darwin and Wolf. So you do have to have some current dive experience. And if you don't, there's always the possibility of hiring a personal dive guide. However, yes, we will experience currents in the Galapagos. And then we're not diving very deep. We're doing recreational dives. So we'll go maximum to a depth of 20 meters, and that's only if we really want to see something down there. But generally we tend to stay between 15 and 18 meters deep to make it recreational fun. And honestly, in the Galapagos, you can be snorkeling and you can see almost everything a diver can. So we don't have to go very deep to see amazing wildlife. it is always safe to dive in these areas. We make sure with a liverboard, as Teresa mentioned, you will have your own safety sausage, your own safe like GPS devices, just in case you do drift away from the group. However, our dive masters on board Aqua are absolutely amazing. They're incredibly professional. They'll keep the group very nice and tight and make sure that we are all safe. Yeah, so we do use this surface marker buoy only at the end of the dive, and our Pango drivers or Zodiac drivers are always right there above us, ready to pick us up. So we have a very professional team making sure that we are safe. And then one last question I see about diving: do you recommend dry suits or semi-dry suits? I would say that for most of the reserve, you're perfectly fine diving with semi-dry suits. You will have water temperatures ranging between 18 to 24. So I think a nice 5 mil or 7 mil, depending on your resistance to cold waters, a semi-dry wetsuit is fine. However, we do have some passengers that enjoy their dry suits when we're out west. So when we're diving in Fernandina and Isabel Island, it's only 1 or 2 days, 2 days where we get to dive out west. Then some people do appreciate their dry suits if you get very cold very easily.
Brilliant. Right, let's go. Let's join up.
Yes, please.
Come
dive with us.
Yeah, some of you will have seen my slide. As I said, it's on our website as well. We do have quite a few people signed up already, which is fantastic, and I bet they can't wait. In fact, Richard, I think, was a bit of a reading list there for Nick. Sorry. We'll be in touch with Sophia and Teresa perhaps and get you a little reading list. No worries.
Absolutely.
Learn a bit more about the whale sharks. There is a lower deck bunk, I think, a female share, male share, and an upper deck bunk still up for grabs. This will end very soon, I think, but our marketing department will, as I said, they will email through everything with a little incentive perhaps to get you guys booked on. We do want to arrange all your flights and all the transfers and everything with Teresa and the travel company, and so it's best to get in touch with our sales team and we'll put everything together. Then it's AFOL bonded and everything. Saves everyone lots of different hassles. Let us take that off your mind. And for those who are going already, I'm sure you have a fantastic time with Sophia and the whale sharks. Let's hope that you have more success than the Japanese guys. You guys are both on mute if you wanted to unmute yourselves, and I think we need to probably end before we get kicked out. I mean, we could stay and chat for hours. I'm sure everybody's really interested in learning more and finding out about the whale sharks and the Galapagos. Definitely a trip of a lifetime.
It's definitely a trip of a lifetime. I hope you can join us all.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you everyone for joining us. Please get in touch if you can't make it in September. We obviously have trips running on Aqua throughout the year, and we can do land-based, we can do the liverboard, we can do trips on mainland Ecuador as well. But obviously for us, it's these whale sharks that we want to go and see. If I could, I would hop on board.
Please do.
Brilliant. Right, I shall end the talk now. Thank you both again. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye, everyone. We'll get your questions answered. They do get recorded, so we'll be in touch.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Enjoy now the football game.
Have a good night.
Very well. Thank you both. Bye.
Bye.